Have you ever felt like you want to change your life in a meaningful way, but you weren't sure where to start? Maybe you set big goals, only to feel overwhelmed or discouraged when you didn't reach them quickly. The concept of 1% improvement every day can help you break free from that frustration. It's a simple but powerful idea. If you improve by just a little bit on a regular basis, you'll see significant growth over time. Even small actions and choices can add up to something remarkable when they are done consistently. Imagine standing in front of a mirror a year from now and noticing that you become more skilled, healthier, or just more confident. That improvement didn't happen because of one dramatic event. It happened because you moved forward step by step, day after day. Everyday life often makes us believe we need a gigantic leap or some big breakthrough to become successful. We see stories about people who suddenly achieve something overnight, or so it seems. But in reality, most long-term achievements come from steady effort. 1% may look tiny, like adding a single extra page to your daily reading habit or writing a few more lines in your journal. Yet it's like planting a seed. With consistent care, that seed grows roots and eventually it blossoms into something much bigger than it was at the beginning. On the flip side, if you neglect small opportunities for growth, the opposite happens. You don't simply remain stuck. In many ways, you might start falling behind. Time keeps moving whether you take action or not. If you regularly skip those small positive steps or give in to distractions, you might look back at a year and realize you're no better off than before. That's why small daily improvements matter. They push you forward gently, preventing you from sliding into stagnation. The promise of a 1% daily improvement is that it's manageable and realistic. It doesn't require you to overhaul your entire life at once. It just requires a willingness to consistently do a tiny bit more each day. It might seem slow at first, but the steady pace is what makes it sustainable. Over time, those little steps compound into results that will surprise even you. Let's explore why these small changes can have such a big impact. Picture yourself trying to learn a new skill. Maybe it's playing the guitar, speaking another language, or coding. If you practice for just a few minutes daily, you may not see immediate gains in the first week. You might even wonder if those minutes matter at all. But fast forward several months, and you'll realize that this consistent practice has given you a solid foundation. You will have gradually built muscle memory, learned basic chords or phrases, and create a comfortable familiarity with your craft. Small wins accumulate, and before you know it, you're noticeably better. There's even a fascinating piece of math often mentioned. If you improve 1% each day for an entire year, you'll end up far beyond just 365% better. Because growth stacks on top of previous growth, that compounding can reach almost 38 times your original level. While real life might not always be perfectly mathematical, the principle remains true. Consistent incremental progress yields dramatic results over time. The same logic applies in reverse when you overlook daily opportunities. If you lose a tiny fraction of your momentum regularly, maybe by procrastinating, skipping healthy habits, or letting negative thinking take over, those small losses also compound. Each day that passes without positive steps can gradually build a barrier against your future success. This is a sobering thought, but it's also a call to action. By doing a little bit better each day, you prevent the slow slide into habits that hold you back. However, understanding this idea is just the first step. Many of us know it makes sense, but we struggle to actually do it. We get distracted by big goals, or we crave instant rewards. We tell ourselves, if I can't do something big right away, why do anything at all? Yet, remembering the power of tiny gains can shift your mindset. When you grasp how effective small steps can be, you start to see that each moment is an opportunity to invest in your growth, no matter how minor it appears at first. One challenge is that modern life constantly tempts us with instant gratification. We live in a world of quick deliveries, immediate search results, and constant notifications. This has shaped our brains to expect fast outcomes in nearly everything we do. When we embark on a long-term goal, like learning a new language or getting physically fit, our natural inclination is to want clear signs of progress right away. If we don't see dramatic changes, it's easy to feel impatient, disappointed, or even give up. Yet, genuine mastery and real personal growth rarely happen in a flash. More often, they are the result of persistent and patient effort. Let's reflect on your own life for a moment. Think back to something you've been consistent with, even if it's small. Maybe you decided to take a 5-minute walk every morning, or you spent 10 minutes reading each night. After several months, you might notice that you feel more relaxed, or your reading comprehension has improved significantly. These small efforts might have felt insignificant on any single day, but over time, they added up to meaningful change. Now consider the opposite. Is there something you wanted to do, but you kept putting off because it didn't seem urgent or you assumed it wouldn't matter much? Maybe you postponed starting an online course, or you told yourself you'd clean up your diet soon. After several months, you probably haven't made progress in that area. And if anything, you might feel regret that you didn't start earlier. This difference between doing a little bit every day and doing nothing at all can be huge, even if it's not always obvious at first glance. So how do we overcome the impatience and the doubt? It starts by recognizing that slow progress is still progress, and slow progress is often the most reliable kind. If we shift our mindset to value patience, we realize that rushing can lead to mistakes, burnout, or giving up too soon. In contrast, a steady and measured approach lets us build a foundation that can sustain bigger achievements down the road. It might not be glamorous, but it's surprisingly powerful when done consistently. What does 1% improvement actually look like on a daily basis? It might mean reading a couple more pages of a book than you planned. It could be writing down a short reflection of your day in a journal. Maybe it's cooking one healthier meal each week instead of dining out. These might not sound life-changing on their own, but the real magic happens when they become habits. A small daily or weekly improvement, repeated over a long period, transforms into something substantial. You might not notice big differences from one day to the next, but over the course of a year, it's astonishing how far you can come. Let's say you want to increase your fitness level. Instead of setting a goal to run a marathon in 1 month, you might decide to jog or walk a bit every day. Perhaps you add 1 extra minute to your usual route, or pick up the pace slightly for 30 seconds. If you're consistent, you'll feel yourself getting stronger, and you'll build endurance without injuring yourself or burning out. Over time, you'll realize you're able to jog much longer distances than when you started. The key is that it feels manageable, so you're far more likely to keep it up. This approach applies to mental growth as well. If you want to become more knowledgeable, you could read for 15 minutes each day or listen to an educational podcast while commuting. It may not seem like much, but after a few months, you'll have finished several books or learned enough from podcasts to carry more informed conversations. Little steps protect you from the pressure of dramatic change. They're gentle enough to fit into a busy schedule, but still potent enough to generate real results over time. The beauty of this idea is that it doesn't rely on massive bursts of motivation. You don't have to wait for a surge of willpower to tackle some giant task. You just need to keep doing a small, manageable action regularly. That consistency is the driving force behind 1% improvement, and it's surprisingly attainable for most people. Of course, one of the biggest hurdles people face is sticking to these small changes long enough to see the benefits. We often start off excited, but when progress isn't immediately visible, we might lose heart. This is where patience truly becomes a valuable skill. Think of it like planting a garden. You prepare the soil, water the seeds, and make sure they get sunlight. For a while, it seems like nothing is happening. You might wonder if you're wasting time. But then one day, tiny sprouts appear. Before you know it, those sprouts turn into thriving plants. The growth was taking place all along, even when you couldn't see it. Patience doesn't mean sitting around idly hoping for the best. It means consistently taking small actions, trusting that these efforts will bear fruit down the line. In practical terms, you can make patience part of your strategy by focusing on process goals rather than outcome goals. For instance, if you want to write a book, instead of obsessing about finishing all the chapters in a week, commit to writing for a set amount of time each day. This process-oriented approach keeps you moving forward and reduces the pressure you put on yourself. Another way to stay patient is to find enjoyment or meaning in the small tasks themselves. If you see every tiny effort as a step toward becoming the person you want to be, the journey becomes more satisfying. Celebrate small wins, like sticking to a new habit for a week or noticing a subtle improvement in your skills. These mini celebrations keep you motivated and remind you that change is happening, even if it's incremental. Additionally, recognize that life can be unpredictable. Some days, you might be too busy or too tired to make that full 1% improvement. You might only manage half of what you intended. The important thing is to avoid letting a small hiccup completely derail your progress. If you miss a day, don't let it turn into missing an entire week. The beauty of 1% improvement is that every new day is another chance to move forward. To make 1% improvement a part of your life, it helps to have a clear plan. Begin by identifying a specific area you want to grow in. It might be your physical health, your relationships, your career, or your mental well-being. Then, narrow it down even further. If you're focusing on physical health, decide whether you want to prioritize exercise, nutrition, or better sleep. By zeroing in on one aspect, you're less likely to feel overwhelmed, and you give yourself a better chance of seeing progress. Next, choose a small, specific action you can perform regularly. For instance, if your goal is to become a better writer, you could commit to writing for 10 minutes each morning. If you aim to eat healthier, you might replace a sugary snack with fruit every afternoon. The important factor is that this action should be so simple you have little reason not to do it. This keeps your resistance low and your consistency high, along with adding a positive behavior. Consider removing or reducing one negative habit that may be holding you back. If you find yourself scrolling on social media late into the night, try setting a timer or using an app blocker for 15 minutes less each day. Over time, that reclaimed time and mental energy can be reinvested into your new, positive routine. Eliminating a small negative habit can sometimes be as transformative as adding a new one. Finally, keep track of your progress in a straightforward way. Maybe using a simple chart or an app where you mark off each day you complete your chosen action. Seeing a streak of consistent effort can motivate you to keep going. Even on days you're not particularly inspired, this tracking doesn't have to be complicated. A quick note in a journal or a simple checklist on your phone can be enough to remind you of your daily commitment. When you combine these steps, focusing on a single area, choosing a small actionable step, cutting down on a negative habit, and tracking your wins, you set yourself up for steady growth. Reflection plays a major role in making sure your steady improvements actually translate into meaningful results. Without reflection, you might be putting in the effort but not realizing whether it's leading you in the right direction. Reflection helps you understand what's working, what isn't, and how you can adjust. For example, if you decided to practice guitar for 5 minutes each day and you notice after a month that you're not actually retaining much, you might ask yourself why. Maybe you need to focus on a specific skill rather than playing random chords. Maybe you benefit from practicing with a friend or watching short tutorial videos. Reflection gives you the chance to fine-tune your approach. One useful practice is to set aside a few minutes at the end of each week or month to look back on your progress. Ask yourself, did I manage to stick to my daily or weekly goal? If not, why not? Did something unexpected happen? Or did I underestimate how much time I had? Was there a particular day when I felt especially motivated? And can I recreate those conditions more often? By thinking about these questions, you start to see patterns in your behavior and mindset. You also become more aware of how daily choices shape your larger journey. Don't forget to celebrate your wins, no matter how small. If you manage to stay consistent for a week straight, that's an accomplishment worth acknowledging. It boosts your morale and reminds you of your capacity for commitment. Small celebrations also help rewire your brain to associate those positive habits with a sense of achievement, making it more likely you'll continue them. Reflection also involves acknowledging that it's okay to adjust your goals. Perhaps you started by wanting to read 15 minutes each day, but you find that 10 minutes is more realistic given your schedule. Adapting in this way doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're evolving your plan to fit your real life. Reflection, in this sense, is less about judging yourself and more about guiding yourself toward continuous improvement in a mindful manner. Commitment is the final piece of the puzzle that keeps you moving forward when enthusiasm runs low. Sometimes people confuse motivation with commitment, but they're not the same. Motivation is often fueled by emotions. Maybe you read an inspiring book or watched a motivational video, and you feel pumped to take on the world. But emotions come and go. Commitment, however, is about deciding that no matter how you feel on any given day, you will still take that small step toward improvement. It's a promise you make to yourself to keep going, even when the initial excitement fades. To strengthen your commitment, it can help to visualize who you want to be a year from now. Picture the version of yourself that has made these daily 1% improvements a habit. What does your life look like? Are you more confident in your job, more present with your family, or physically stronger and healthier? Write down this vision or keep a mental image of it. When you're tempted to skip your daily practice, remind yourself of that future you. Ask, what will help me get closer to this person I envision? Another powerful strategy is to build a support system. Share your goals with a friend, partner, or mentor who cares about your progress. Tell them about the small steps you're taking and why it matters to you. They can help hold you accountable and encourage you during rough patches. Sometimes knowing that someone else is paying attention gives you an extra push to stay consistent. Remember, obstacles will show up. You might get busy with work or school, face unexpected personal challenges, or just have days where you feel uninspired. Commitment means you keep going anyway, adapting when necessary but not quitting entirely. Maybe you normally exercise for 20 minutes, but on a super busy day, you can only manage 5 minutes. That's still something, still better than doing nothing. The consistency of showing up, even in a reduced capacity, preserves your momentum. When you embrace commitment, you realize it's not about perfection. It's about dedication to a long-term goal that you truly care about, knowing that progress takes time but yields significant rewards. Putting it all together, the idea of 1% improvement every day offers a roadmap for lasting change. You start with a clear focus on something that matters to you, whether it's your health, your relationships, your skills, or your overall mindset. Then you define a small, manageable action that you can repeat consistently. While you do this, you remain patient and committed, understanding that major breakthroughs are usually the result of small actions stacked over time. You also take a moment each week or month to reflect, celebrate small wins, and make any necessary adjustments to keep moving forward. In this journey, it's important to remember that you are shaped by what you do regularly, not by what you do once in a while. Occasional bursts of effort can lead to brief spikes of achievement, but truly transformative growth comes from steady, day-to-day practice. The wonderful part is that 1% progress is achievable for almost everyone. No matter how busy or tired you feel, you can usually find a few minutes to invest in yourself. By harnessing even that minimal effort and directing it toward a clear goal, you gradually build a stronger, more capable version of yourself. 1 year from now, you could be looking back with a sense of accomplishment and confidence, knowing that you took consistent action. Or you could be wishing you had started earlier. That difference might seem small in the moment, like deciding to read a page or take a short walk, but over time, it becomes huge. Day by day, you're either moving closer to your goals or drifting further away. The choice is yours to make. As you step forward, carry this reminder: slow progress is still progress. If you improve even a little bit each day, you're setting yourself on a path that leads to remarkable change in the long run. When you learn to appreciate the power of small actions, you unlock a new perspective on personal growth, one that is both patient and powerful. Let today be the day you commit to that 1% difference, knowing that consistent, intentional steps can transform your entire life over time.